Mark Skipper, hug 'em. Hug 'em, Mark Skipper.
If I were to ask you the question, who in here loves to hug? I can almost guarantee you, 95% of you would raise your hands. 100% of them would be women. I can tell, because as I look around, when I ask that question, all the guys were just sitting there like this saying, what is he talking about? Well, let me tell you, I'm with the men. I hated hugging. There's probably some reasons for that. When I was a kid, I would go down south and visit my aunts and my grandmother. And every time I would come in, my Aunt Minnie would say, come here, Mark Anthony, give me a hug. Then my other aunt, Aunt Minnie, boy, don't make me chase you. You better come here and give me a hug. I don't know what it is, but nurturing and liking to do things like hugging seems to be more natural for women than for men. But as I got older and I went to college, I noticed that it was becoming more common to see men hugging. In fact, it wasn't the kind of hug of, this type of a hug, but more so of what I kind of call bro hugs. So let me demonstrate for you what a bro hug is. Hey, John. Hey, Mark. You walk up and you shake hands. And then you bring the person close to you. Then you take that left arm, put it around the back, and you do 2 quick pats on the back. Pop, pop. Then you gotta let go. Because if you get over 2 seconds, it's no longer a bro hug. So I began to say, okay, it might not be so bad. But I met a guy a couple of years ago by the name of Terrence Talley. And what Terrence would do is he would go and speak to high school students and help to inspire them to deal with a lot of the things that high school students have to deal with. And I know, of course, you can relate because as I look around the room, I can tell most of you were in high school. Well, what Terrence did, and let me take a step back and say, Terrence thought and felt that he was actually told by God to do this. So what Terrence would do after he would give his fantastic speech, this inspiration, getting the kids pumped up, he would offer to the young people, if you would like to have a dad hug, come on down. Well, this particular presentation he was making was no different than any other he had ever given. Kids got pumped up. He said, if you want a hug, come on down. The line whipped around the auditorium. One by one, the kids came up, and he gave them a hug. Now, he noticed to the side, on his right side, that there was a guy dressed all in black from top to bottom. Nails were black. Some of you may know the term golf. But the kid was just pacing back and forth, back and forth. Terrence thought, okay, that's a little different. But he continued to hug the kids as they came through. As the last child went through, that young man whipped in front of Terrence, pointed his finger in his face, and said to him, you made me feel something. And then he gave Terrence the biggest bear hug he had had that entire day. And Terrence just whispered in his ear, you're the reason why I'm here. And apparently that comment was too much for him to handle because the young man let go and he ran out the auditorium. 20 minutes later, the principal came in. And he said, Terrence, let me tell you about that young man who left. When he left the auditorium, he went to his next class. He walked in, and all the students were talking about your presentation. One of the kids looked at him and asked him, did Terrence give you a hug? He stopped, he put his head down, And he said, that was the first time I've ever gotten a hug. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard that, I said, he's saying his mother, his father, nobody had ever given him a hug before. Well, when those kids heard that, apparently they felt the same way. Because one by one, they went up to him, and they each gave him a hug. That was too much for him to handle. He ran out the room. This time he ended up in the principal's office. By that time, he had started to cry. The principal asked, "Why are you crying? What is wrong?" He began to share with him the experience of the day of going to the presentation, having the hug by Terrence, and then going to the class where none of the students would ever talk to him, giving him hugs. The young man stopped talking. He pulled off his book bag, reached down deep inside, and pulled out a 38-millimeter gun. He slowly set it on the table, and he said, "Before this morning, I had planned to kill myself." And he turned around, and he walked out the room. If there's any question that you have, and I'm talking specifically to the men, any question that you had about the power of a hug, I hope that that story tells you that hugs coming from you and me to young people are very, very important. So when you go home tonight, stick your head into your kid's room. Go over to them and just give them a hug. Mr. Toastmaster?